and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and we're back with a double upload today with all of the new information we gained from the video this morning. We need to start implementing this into our own team, so that's what I'm going to be doing today, guys. And if you do enjoy this one, make sure you do drop a like, subscribe if you're new around here. Let's have a look first of all at my game week 26 scores before we do our team selection for 27. So game week 26 for me was an absolute disaster. No matter who you are, what score you had, I hope my game week makes you feel just a little bit better because it did not go to plan. Now, Dubravka, unfortunately, did suffer with some illness last game week against Arsenal, which meant that he could not play in that game. I'm sorry, I actually gave a bit of misinformation earlier this week. I said Dubravka had been rotated or dropped, but actually it was just illness, so nothing's too significant to worry about there if you are a Dubravka owner, other than the fact that Newcastle concede a whole bunch of goals every single game. Other defenders not really pulling through this week. Taylor could not be the hero. Estupiñán, a disappointment once again coming off the bench there. De Bruyne didn't even start the game, and when he did come on for the final few minutes of the game, he picked up a yellow card. Another disaster. And Chan, the new transfer in for the game week, so much promise against Sheffield United, but couldn't come to fruition. Maybe carrying a bit of an injury during that game, which maybe did affect him, and now we've got even more news about that, which we'll talk about very shortly. Up front, Erling Haaland could only manage an assist, and Ollie Watkins performed well as a new transfer in for my -8, but Solanke just didn't work out against Manchester City. Can't say I'm too surprised with that one, but at the very least, what I've done with the -8 last game week is set myself up really nicely for the coming up game week. So a -8 gives me a significant red arrow, but can we make up for it in the following game weeks, because we are now so much better set up for future game weeks? I really hope so, because we need something big this week. We know how fast FPL can change. Can we do it? Well, for game week 27, we got one free transfer and only 0.3 million in the bank. Let's go through my team, and you'll probably find it looks okay, apart from in the defensive positions. We'll start off with Kelleher. He's got a game away against Nottingham Forest. Brought him in a couple of game weeks ago to see if he could maybe grab me some points ahead of Dubravka. And with Alisson still injured, Kelleher will be the main man starting in goal against Nottingham Forest. It's a good fixture for Liverpool. Hopefully they can keep a clean sheet in this game. Definitely have the faith that they can do that, and maybe a couple of save points as well. But actually, Kelleher this game week, I think it's a reasonably good pick when you look across all of the goalkeepers that many people have right now. In defense, I've got Kieran Trippier. Well, that's not great, is it? Kieran Trippier, obviously failing to score any points last game week. Really disappointing. He was on my bench, to be fair. I did look to bench him against Arsenal, but coming back against Wolves, could we see a change in fortune? Wolves without Hwang is a home game. Maybe I am just coping a little bit here, but Trippier is always at least a player who has the potential to get attacking returns in some of those slightly easier fixtures. So I wonder, can we get a return to the best for Kieran Trippier? I don't know. You guys let me know if I just need to sell him or if he's going to be okay. Gabriel is my next pick against Sheffield United. This is a fantastic defensive option. Really happy with Gabriel. He's the one defender who I'm actually super confident in this whole season, pretty much. Sheffield United is a great opportunity for a clean sheet for the strongest defence in the Premier League. That is Arsenal. And also Sheffield United do concede chances to headers from those set pieces. They're pretty weak against set pieces, and Gabriel is the set piece extraordinaire in this Arsenal team, and is very likely to get a goal. Definitely one of the real potential players this game week to grab some significant points. And we've got Estupiñán finishing off our defence here. It's not great. We don't know if he's going to start. In fairness, he did start in the FA Cup, played 90 minutes, and I don't think he was that bad despite the loss for Brighton. I think he played okay in that game, actually. But aside from that, we do need to think, this Brighton team, is there going to be some rotation for Estupiñán once again? Or is the fact that Brighton have so many injury problems right now actually maybe going to force Estupiñán into the team? I don't know. Again, is that just me coping? Am I being overly optimistic about the likes of Trippier and Estupiñán when actually they haven't been great picks in months, really? They really haven't. In midfield, we've got De Bruyne. Now, he was disappointing last game week, but we saw in the FA Cup, how many assists was it? 4 assists for De Bruyne in the FA Cup. That is insane. His link-up play with Haaland is second to none. Really is incredible stuff. And this is a big game against Manchester United team, who are falling out of form slightly. It's a home game as well, and I think De Bruyne, with his rest in game week 26, will go on to play these key and crucial games in the next 2 game weeks against Manchester United and Liverpool. He has to play these games. Manchester City, they need to keep up the race against the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal to win the Premier League. And speaking of Arsenal, Saka is my next pick against Sheffield United. Now, to be fair, I don't think Sheffield United are quite as bad defensively as maybe a lot of people maybe don't give them credit for, but still, Saka, with the insane form that he's been in recently, maybe there's been a couple of penalties in there, but he's been scoring from open play as well, creating for his teammates. He's been a fantastic pick. Do I think he is the perfect captain option for this game week? I'm not sure about that one as an Arsenal fan, but still, we expect Saka to be involved in goals and assists in the Sheffield United game. You'd be pretty disappointed if he came away with nothing. Phil Foden up next, another man in form, although he does blow hot and cold a little bit, doesn't he, depending on the game. But again, it's going to be a nice fixture against Manchester United. It's a good time to play them, and we do expect Foden to continue to be nailed on in this City squad. So again, a player you can be confident in moving forward. And Cole Palmer, man, am I glad to have Cole Palmer back in my FPL team. An away fixture against Brentford, who have been pretty leaky this season. Cole Palmer has obviously been a legend of FPL this season. Can we get back to business this game week? I really hope we can, because his upcoming fixtures, excluding that game week 29 blank, are looking very, very nice indeed. And I think we could see Palmer coming back into the thoughts of many FPL managers. He's certainly in my thoughts, and I'm very happy to own him right now. I hope a few people have actually maybe sold him, and maybe I can have Palmer as a little bit of a differential, maybe more of a differential than he was before, because he is an absolute beast, isn't he? Up front, Haaland, speaking of beasts, another player for Manchester City against Manchester United. Yes, we tripled up on the attack, and I think this could go pretty well. Haaland coming off the back of 5 goals against Luton Town in the FA Cup. What an amazing bit of form that he showed in that game. Can he repeat it against Manchester United? Well, 5 goals is probably a little bit ambitious, but we've seen him do it before. We've seen him score those mega scores against Manchester United in the past, and you think with De Bruyne linking up together, these two players playing together could be huge. Haaland with De Bruyne, it really is a different beast. These players connect so well on the pitch and really produce amazing results. I'm very happy to own both of these players, at least for this game week. We've got Ollie Watkins up next, an away fixture against a very leaky Luton Town defence, and that's going to be another big opportunity for goals and points. Is Watkins a potential differential captain? I think he certainly is, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he can produce in these upcoming games. Like I said, last game week, I made a few transfers to fix my team, taking that -8. Watkins was part of that -8, and I think he is going to be a player that really, really pays me back for that hit that I did take in order to bring him in. And Solanke is my final player in my starting 11. Now, he is flagged at the moment. We're not 100% sure if he's going to be available, so we do need to wait for some news tomorrow to see if Solanke is going to be available to play at the weekend. But I think we can be reasonably optimistic at this point. Solanke is certainly not a sell or anything like that quite yet, but await information for next game week. It doesn't seem like the injury issue is too serious, and he was rested kind of as a precaution in the midweek fixture in the FA Cup for Bournemouth. So let's see what happens next. I think if he plays against Burnley, that's obviously going to be very, very good. A player who gets a whole bunch of chances to score every single game and is on penalties as well. With a double game week coming up next, we want to have a close eye on Solanke this week. Fingers crossed he's going to be okay. And on the bench, guys, we've got Dubravka. Like I said, I do think Dubravka comes back into the Newcastle United team against Wolverhampton Wanderers, but Kelleher is just probably the better pick right now. When you look at the two defences, they are like chalk and cheese. Liverpool just way ahead of a Newcastle defence that's struggling so much at the moment, and arguably, maybe you could say that Liverpool have the better fixture as well, with Wolves showing a little bit of form here and there. Hee-Chan doesn't look good. I'd be very, very surprised if he plays in game week 27, so he's straight on the bench for me. He's picked up a hamstring injury, or a Huang string injury, you could say, and he is probably going to be out for this game week and possibly next game week as well. Is he a potential player to sell? I think he might be. Pedro Porro is on my bench as well. He's not been in training this week, so not expecting a start from him this week, even though it would be nice to have him against Crystal Palace at home. To be fair, Spurs defensively, I don't really fancy anyway. And finally, we've got Taylor, the cheap guy on the bench, third on the bench against Bournemouth at home. I'm really backing Solanke to score against Taylor, so I wouldn't want to be playing Taylor this game week particularly. So you can see that my defense is pretty light right now. We've got Trippier, Estupiñán, Pedro Porro and Taylor around Gabriel, and honestly, Am I expecting any points from any of them outside of Gabriel? Not massively, really, no. And that is a problem, but is this just the way FPL is going at the moment? Defenders don't score points? I don't know. It's been a weird season like that for defenders, but we do need to make some changes to this team in order to maximize its potential for Game Week 27. So in terms of players I'd be willing to sell right now, actually, when I look through my team, I like it more than I have done in a long time. And actually, really, the only issues that I feel I have in my team are the defenders. So Trippier and Estupinian, definitely players I would be willing to sacrifice right now because they are costing a lot of money and they are not producing FPL returns. I don't think Trippier is necessarily a must-sell, but he's definitely a player who can be, can be sacrificed. Estupinian, similar situation. If he starts, he's probably going to be a decent pick, but we have no guarantee, and I just am fed up of that headache with Estupinian. I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well. On the bench, Pedro Porro could definitely go as well. He's got an injury, and you can probably see from my team that for Game Week 29, I do not have the players for Game Week 29. I will be using a chip prior to Game Week 29 or in Game Week 29 to try and refresh my team to make sure I have a full playing 11 for Game Week 29. But Pedro Porro is one of the few players I have who actually plays then, and he's injured anyway, and I'm looking to remove him because I don't think I'm going to need him for that game week because we will be using a free hit or a wild card to deal with that situation anyway. A little bit more on that shortly. Hee-Chan could also be sacrificed, but to be fair, who would I actually bench? Maybe Solanke. If Solanke is injured, then maybe I can sell Hee-Chan. We'll talk about some replacements shortly. And Dubravka is just a player who I am going to be removing from my FPL team at the nearest opportunity. But this game week is probably not the one since I have Kelleher to cover. In terms of transfer targets, I've got 2 goalkeepers on my list. Neto is probably the one that you expected to see here. He's got a double game week next game week and a pretty favourable fixture this week as well. So that's going to be pretty nice for him. And I think a lot of people will be looking to bring in Neto as their goalkeeper very shortly. A Dubravka to Neto switch looks good. So yeah, if I wanted to remove Dubravka this week, then maybe I could do that. But I don't think I need to do that this week. But close eyes on Neto right now, as with Jordan Pickford. Now, this is a slightly more interesting one, and this would be planning slightly longer term. Pickford has generally ticked along with points quite nicely this season. Yes, he hasn't been a massively standout goalkeeper this season, but he is scoring more points than anyone else, which is at least something. So maybe we could go for him with a potential double game week in game week 34. Make sure you check out this morning's video if you want to learn more about the double game weeks in 34 and 37. But if I went for Pickford kind of around now, maybe that would set me up really nicely for later on in the season and just give me that long-term set-and-forget goalkeeper that I don't need to worry about too much, which I don't think Neto is quite that kind of player. In terms of defenders, this is where I'm really looking to make transfers this week. Saliba is obviously my #1 transfer target this week, but he is a little bit expensive. Maybe Senesi at 4.5 with a double game week next week, being a Bournemouth player is going to be useful. Certainly, Saliba and Senesi are by far my 2 favourite defenders to go for in game week 27. A few people may be looking at Kivior as well for Arsenal, but I think Zinchenko is going to be back within the next couple of weeks. So I think I want something a little bit more long-term, like a Saliba, like a Senesi. And to be fair to Bournemouth, their defensive numbers are actually not too bad. Jared Branthwaite completes the list of defenders that I might be thinking about moving to right now. For midfielders, Heung-min Son is target #1. With the news that Richarlison could be injured this week, we'll cover this in tomorrow's video. But with the news that Richarlison is injured, potentially, Son could be playing up front. He's got a nice game against Crystal Palace, and Son again against Aston Villa after that, kind of fixture that suits him a little bit. I think Son is going to be a really, really nice pick for those who can afford to get him. But who would I sell to get Son? It would have to be De Bruyne, and I'm not sure I really want to do that. Ødegaard is still on my list, as is Gordon, but I'm not sure this is the week to go for either of those players, despite the fact I think Ødegaard could score some points this game week. Not convinced by him in the slightly longer term. And Tavernier, another Bournemouth player. If I had to go for a Hwang Hee-Chan replacement this week, could Tavernier at 0.1 million cheaper be the replacement to go for? Another Bournemouth player added to the ranks with a good fixture this week and a double game week next game week. Could it be nice? Well, I think so. Tavernier is a very creative player on set pieces, but he's not 100% nailed on and can see himself rotated during those busy fixture schedule periods. So that is the one concern. And as for forwards, there is no one I want right now. I have my dream front line of the 3 forwards I want: Haaland, Watkins, Solanke. These are the forwards I want. I'm not interested in anyone else at this present moment. So I think these are my 3 options. I can keep my options open because right now I'm not 100% sure which chip strategy I'm going to use. It's either going to be chip strategy #2 or 3 from yesterday's video. That was the all-rounder strategy and the easy strategy. I'm going to be going for one of them because the first strategy, the patient strategy, is just not going to work for me. I'm not set up for Game Week 29 at all. So is not an option. So I can keep my options open by maybe going for Senesi this week. That way, I'm not forced to wildcard next game week if I don't want to, but I still have that option to wildcard next week if I want to cover game week 29 in that way. So Pedro Porro would be the player to sell in order to do that. We'll obviously be using a chip to get maybe a Spurs defender back in for game week 29 anyway, so we don't need Pedro Porro. He is an easy sell, and at 5.5 million, he is just very expensive and a player I would like to get off the books and free up some cash. I could also do a 1 week punt ahead of a game week 28 wildcard. Now, if I wanted to commit to wildcarding in game week 28 and forget about free hitting in game week 29, then this is another option for me. I do a 1 week punt this week, Pedro Porro to Saliba, collect Saliba's clean sheet points, hopefully, maybe even a goal against Sheffield United, and then we go in for game week 28 with a wild card to sort out my team after that. Or I could alternatively just wild card now. If there is maybe a couple more injuries that I don't know about, you know, if Solanke is ruled out, Hwang is ruled out, Pedro Porro is ruled out, Estupinian doesn't look good, and Trippier maybe doesn't look good, and maybe something else comes up as well, then I might actually be forced into a wild card this game week, which I'm definitely open to. I guess we'll see what happens in the next 24 hours or so, but that is my final option here. So option number 1, keep my options open, maybe wildcard next week, and maybe free hit in 29. I can commit to wildcarding in 28 by bringing in Saliba, or I can just wildcard now. Those are my choices. But right now, I feel like the decision that I want to make is to remove Pedro Porro and bring in Senesi and just keep those options open, because the more I think about it, the more I lean towards the easy strategy mentioned in the today's video from earlier, where we looked to free hit in game week 29, because honestly, the rest of my team I'm reasonably happy with, and I think I can sort some other things out in my team after game week 30 with maybe just 1 hit. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that very, very shortly, but I think I keep my options open. Right now, the most likely scenario is I free hit in 29 anyway, so I don't want to commit to a free hit this week or next week particularly, and I think this is probably going to be the best thing for my team moving forward. That would, of course, move Estupinian to the bench because we're worried about his minutes, and to be fair, even if Solanke does turn out to be injured, Estupinian, the chance of him maybe starting, maybe getting a clean sheet there, maybe even getting an attacking return, I know it's pretty unlikely, but there is at least a chance of that, and maybe that does cover a potential Solanke injury as well. So this would be as far as I would go, and I think this covers my team for game week 27 pretty well. I've got a lot of the players that I want, and you know, not really many players that I don't want. It's only in defense really that I have that issue, and bringing in Senesi does start to resolve that as well. In terms of captaincy, Erling Haaland is my captain as of this moment. I really do feel confident that he is going to perform well against Manchester United as he has done in the past, and vice captain is currently on Ollie Watkins. If I had to go for a captain outside of Haaland right now, I think Watkins would be my choice with his nice fixture against a Luton Town team that do concede a lot of goals. But Haaland being on penalties does make a big difference for me. Haaland being the player he is and playing and combining with De Bruyne, because I do think De Bruyne is going to start this week, again, makes a big difference to my decision making here, and I think Haaland is going to be the one to score the most points this game week. He is going to be my captain. So with that all said, I want to have a little look at my strategy going forward. So guys, we are on the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool, the crucial tool for planning out your FPL team around all of these doubles and blanks that are coming up. It really is super useful. Guys, go check it out. Link in the description if you want to start planning your own team. But I wanted to first of all show you my game week 29 situation. So before the Pedro Porro transfer, I will have just 3 players for game week 29. That is obviously not good enough, and I'm going to have to use a chip. There is no way I can navigate game week 29 without using a wildcard in 28 or maybe even 27, or a free hit in 29. There's no way that I can do it. Now, this is by design. I intentionally leant towards this strategy. I never wanted to go into game week 29 just using transfers alone. I always plan to use a chip around here, so that's why I find myself in this situation. It is by design. I have committed to this strategy weeks and weeks and weeks ago because I thought it was the best one for me. Some of you guys are going to be in different situations, but believe me, this is not a lack of planning. This is specifically planning, so I didn't have to bring in maybe West Ham, Luton, maybe Spurs players that I didn't necessarily want in the first place. So here we go, guys. Game week 29 doesn't look good. We're going to have to use a chip. So what do we do? So let's go back to game week 27. This is what I am thinking. So first of all, we already spoke about the first transfer I wanted to make. So that would be involving taking out Pedro Porro and replacing him with Senesi. Let's make that transfer on this tool and switch him in for Estupinian straight away. you can see the team looks a little bit better for Game Week 27. Moving into Game Week 28, we're going to assume that Solanke is ready to go. At this point, I think I would be looking to potentially make a goalkeeper transfer. Of course, if I free hit in 29, and I think that's the plan at the moment, then I need to make a transfer now in preparation for Game Week 30 and beyond. And there's two ways I can go about this. What I want to do is transfer De Bruyne up to Salah in Game Week 30. In order to do that, I need to free up some money. One way to do that is to downgrade Foden. But do I want to downgrade Foden? I'm not sure. There's two players I'm interested in downgrading Foden to free up the money for the likes of Salah. And those two players are Gordon and Eze. So Gordon, he plays against Chelsea. Eze actually has a pretty decent fixture against Luton Town in Game Week 28. So if he's available, that's going to be pretty nice. Both Eze and Gordon likely to have double game weeks in 34. So I'll be ahead of the game by making this downgrade, even though maybe it doesn't look like such a good transfer in Game Week 28 in isolation, but would allow me to avoid taking a hit in 30 when I want to upgrade De Bruyne up to Salah. Now, the other option is, if I wanted to roll with Foden for Game Week 28, is to make a goalkeeper transfer. Like I said, there's two goalkeepers I'd be looking to move to, and those two players are, you know, maybe going for Dubravka out and then bringing in either Neto to get that additional double game week player in Game Week 28, or Pickford, taking a slightly longer view. So let's go for Pickford for the sake of this video. I haven't decided exactly which one I'm going to go for yet, but we'll do something like that. He plays against Manchester United, which isn't the greatest fixture in the world, but after that, things do look a little bit better for the likes of Pickford. So in this game week, we would also be playing Senesi, so we'll throw him on the pitch there as well, and the team looks, I would say, reasonably strong for Game Week 28. Maybe it would be nice to have one more double game week player. Going for Neto maybe solves that problem, but in general, I don't mind this team too much for Game Week 28. Now, let's skip Game Week 29 because I will be free hitting here anyway, and take it into Game Week 30. This is where I want to make the Salah move. So, if I want to get Salah for De Bruyne, which I really, really do, for Brighton and beyond, because he's got a really nice run of fixtures. I mean, Sheffield United in Game Week 31, Manchester United in Game Week 32. The fixtures are, they really are pretty good. Palace at home in 33 as well. It's nice. It really, really is nice. And what I would do after that is downgrade Foden to someone. Would have 6.3 million to spend. Like I say, Gordon 6.1, Eze 6. These are the two kind of players I'd be going for. Maybe we get some more information about who is going to double in 34 by this point as well. If we do get that information, we do find out that for sure that one of Eze or Gordon is doubling in 34, then that's going to be really, really useful stuff. Really, really useful information. And we can make a transfer to reflect that. So let's throw in Gordon for now. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Eze, of course, a penalty taker, so maybe I want to add another penalty taker. If I did bring in, Eze, I would actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 penalty takers in my squad, including He-Chan on the bench, which would be absolutely incredible, wouldn't it? It would only be Watkins who didn't have that opportunity. So yeah, let's go with Gordon though for now, for the sake of now. Put that captain's armband on Haaland and. I'll put the vice captain on Salah there, although that could probably go the other way, to be fair. Haaland vice captain and Salah captain. And that would be what my team would look like for Game Week 30. So we've navigated Game Week 29 with a free hit. My Game Week 30 team is looking healthy and beginning to plan for Game Week 34. And we can look to wildcard in Game Week 35 with a view to bench boost in 37. That is my current thinking. And this is all based on the easy strategy I mentioned in today's video from earlier. Please do go check that out and you will see exactly why this strategy is really, really powerful. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to check out the Fantasy Football Hub My Team Tool link at the top of the description. You doing so really helps support the channel as well. Drop a like before you disappear. That also really, really helps support the channel. And that one is free, as is subscribing. Please do that and check out today's video from earlier because it is so useful. It really, really is. I stay up all night making that video for you guys, and it's going to help you. It really, really is. I promise you that. Watching that video, you will not regret it. But aside from that, guys, we'll be back for another double upload day tomorrow. So I'll see you then, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.